Hey guys, Red Joey here, with an episode aimed less at the Pokemon trading card game and more at trading card games in general. I want to ask the question, do game simulators hurt the game or the companies that run them? This question was brought up on the Pokebeach a short while ago. And to be fair, this point was raised due to a completely different card game. A few people here may be familiar with a program called Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro. A program made to simulate the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game, the major draw of which was that it optimized card effects and chain resolution, meaning that there was no real arguments over card rulings, as the game had that covered. Now, the kind people who made Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro decided they hadn't done making life easy for card gamers and set out creating Cardfight Vanguard Pro. Effectively the same as Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro but geared towards Cardfight Vanguard. Bushiroad Incorporated caught wind of the development of Cardfight Vanguard Pro and issued a cease and desist, meaning that CFV Pro was shut down before completion, due to the game and the card images being the intellectual property of Bushiroad Incorporated. And that's fair enough. Bushiroad does have the legal right to stop such projects from being created, and in fact they have shut down a simulator before this one. But this does raise the question, do these simulators hurt the game? In fact, do they hinder the companies that create them? To truly understand if it does hurt the game, or the company involved, we have to look at simulators from three different views. The views of the player, the vendor, and the company. So, firstly, the player. What does a free simulator mean to a player? In my personal experience, it's a convenient way to test. Having an infinite card pool and the ability to test any variant of any deck is an invaluable tool to have. It makes deck construction easier, and I don't have to spend money on a card to test it just to find that I'm better off without it. Put simply, I can go as nuts as I want, trying to find the right deck and the right list to play with, without investing anything more than time. And when I'm done, I know what deck to run and the cards I need to build it. So once again, I don't waste time and I don't waste money. And in effect, isn't that what's most important to a player? Saving time and money so we can play the decks we want as soon as we can without having to spend more than we really need to. So, what about the vendor? The person who sells the cards? Well, to be honest, for a vendor there are two aspects to what simulators do for sales. There's the immediate sales effect and the general sales effect. Players who use simulators will know what cards they need to complete their deck, and as such they'll only buy the expansions they need, and will inevitably end up spending less money on packs until the next expansion is released. This is where things change. If someone uses a simulator, their deck is bound to perform better, and as such the player will do better in tournaments, and will have an incentive to keep improving their deck, or even create a new deck when a future expansion is released, which means more testing, which leads to buy more packs to upgrade or create their deck. On the flip side, the same player without access to a simulator may not have the same success, because their deck isn't as good, and as such their tournament placements aren't as good. Right here, we don't have the same incentive to keep our deck up to date, and as such we don't buy extra packs to upgrade our deck, because we're not trying to stay on top. In fact, the player could lose heart and stop playing the game because they're fed up of spending money and losing. So now we can see that the immediate effect is that the vendors do lose a handful of sales, but in general they have players returning time and time again to buy more packs. So the overall prospect works out better. This can also be applied not just to the number of packs people buy over time, but the number of players. If you're playing a game for a longer period of time, there's more chance of you introducing a friend to the game, and the chance of them introducing their friends increases over time. The ability to test online doesn't only stand a chance of increasing general profit, but the general market as well. So that leaves us with the company. A lot of points that affect the vendor will affect the company that produces the game. So the immediate sales will be slightly lower, but longer term sales will be much higher and a lot more consistent. But there are factors involving simulators that don't just act as a testing ground for players. They can also act as a cheap, interactive advertisement for the cards. In fact, there are channels on YouTube that are focused on just showing off how new cards interact and how to get the most out of them. Simulators have the ability to not only show us how they work, but also to try out the combination ourselves. There is something else worth noting about companies and simulators though. Companies have been known to create their own simulators. Now, Bushiroad themselves haven't created one, but Konami, the company that owns Yu-Gi-Oh, tried their own for a short while, and Pokemon currently have a simulator online with the PTCGO program. Now, companies making their own simulators have to be wary not to be outperformed by their free counterparts. Now, this can be easily done with making the official program more aesthetically pleasing and by keeping costs to a minimum to the player. The current Pokemon model for this seems to be a step in the right direction, with the program looking good and the cost is incorporated with buying packs, so spending is kept minimal. On the other side of the coin, the PTCGO simulator has been riddled with glitches and errors since day one, and certain key cards are taking nearly 2 years to appear on the system, despite being part of major decks since it was first printed for the Worlds of 2011. That being said, the official program isn't bad and players still use it. In fact, it could become the way to test online if they can iron out the wrinkles. As mentioned before, online simulators can be great for advertisement, and companies can be seen as limiting their free advertisement prospects by blindly shutting down free clients. Another option could be to license the free clients, giving them the legal right to use mechanics and images as long as the client remains free and non-profit. The free clients will still be in the hands of the fans who created them, and they don't steal away the original company's profits. Also on that note, with the free client remaining in the hands of the fans, there is no maintenance charge towards the original company. Once again, they're getting this advertisement, they're not having to pay for it. On the subject of profits, testing allows us, the player, to know which cards to buy. Say for instance, I need free Sigilyph. Well, even through testing I can't just make them happen. I'd either have to buy pack after pack of Dragons Exalted or buy the singles online. Now, people will say that buying the singles is cheaper, but would be taking money away from the Pokemon company. But Sigilyph is most likely a 1 per box card, as there are other holo rares that need to be shipped in each box. So my buying 3 single Sigilyphs means that a supplier would have to buy 3 boxes to stock them. Overall, the Pokemon company still gets its profit, and I didn't waste money either. So there we go. That's my opinion on whether online simulators hurt the game or the company connected to it. I don't think it does. In fact, if managed correctly, they can be used to promote the game and improve sales. Whether the client you're using is fan-made or official, as long as it promotes the game and gets people playing, it shouldn't hurt the company. In fact, it could help it. What do you guys and girls think? Let me know down below. And until next time, I'm Rad to Joey. You guys are top percent. Peace out.